So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a card for everybody. So this is going to be a 1, 2, 3 card. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to choose card number 1, card number 2, card number 3. Go ahead and leave it in the comments. Love you. Go ahead and leave it in the comments. Card number 1. I love all of y'all, but I was saying that to Elsie, but I do love all of y'all. Okay, card number 1, card number 2, card number 3. Now remember, if you bought a ticket to the expo, you get a reading from me. If I'm not reading for you live on here, I will send you a 1 to 2 card mini reading tomorrow or Saturday. I promise I will do it. I'm a woman of my word. Okay, so I want you to choose card number 1, 2, or 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my new deck, which is this deck here. It's Morgan's Tarot, and it's a bit wild. So I just want to prepare you for that. It's a bit of a wild deck. I saw it when I was in Tokyo. I went to the Tarot Museum, which, by the way, if you ever go to Tokyo, you must go. And it is so amazing. And this deck is weird. The artwork is weird. It's a little bit difficult to read, so I really like the challenge of that. So let's just see what happens. So leave a comment, 1, 2, or 3, and I'm going to read for everyone now. Here we go. All right, card number 1, card number 2, card number 3. All right, don't be shy. Leave your comments. Okay, so card number 1. Oh, so cool. This is the door to the Akashic Records. How awesome is that? Now, one thing I will say is that on my show, I recently interviewed someone all about the Akashic Records. So if you aren't familiar with what that is, the Akashic Records, I would really recommend you go and you check that out. There's actually a couple episodes on there that are all about the Akashic Records. But what this is talking about is kind of like you're walking into the door of everything. So let me explain that in a different way. It's sort of like we're made up of universal energy. We're souls. I believe we're souls having a human experience. And when we start to open up and connect to everything that is, when we start to feel the wind on our skin and we hear the birds chirping and we see the rustle of the leaves and we see the signs and the symbols that our spirit guides are giving us, and we smell, the beautiful flowers in the air, or we feel even the change in the temperature, the change in the weather, or all of a sudden our emotions, we're aware of what's for us and what's not for us. And we start to notice the subtleties. I get that. We start to notice the subtleties of life. I mean, that is really when you're opening up to the door to the Akashic, because the idea, some people say it's like a library in the sky and whatnot, and that's fine. I mean, that actually is accurate for some people, but it's really about that universal connection to everything that is all the time, everywhere. And so as you start to open up, what's going to happen is the universe is going to meet you halfway, right? Because we're co-creating together. So as you start to notice these synchronicities, these subtleties of life, everything is going to start to appear more magical for you. So this is a huge opportunity for you. I kind of feel like you're imminent. It's like a change is imminent. You're walking into a new way of being. So one thing that you can start to do is start to get aware of how you feel in this moment. What are your emotions telling you? What are you smelling? What are you hearing? What are you feeling? What are you thinking about, right? And starting to notice when you're connected to source energy, feeling good, light, and peaceful, and when you're not. So that's card number 1. Woo, hello. Card number 2. I know everyone's like, damn, I wish I picked card number 1. Card number 2. Okay, it says, the one mind is rootless and foundationless mind. So I love this a lot. This is really interesting because this is kind of talking about what I just said. So I feel like you guys can share in sort of the reading of card number 1. But this is a lot about really being aware about the mind, when to use the mind, and also when we are affected by the collective mind. So this says the one mind is rootless and foundationless. So this is sort of talking about how, we go through life, right? And we think, oh, it's all about me, me, my life, and and the world revolves around us. And that's all ego. But as we slowly step into the 4D, we start to think about life as we. And then the 5D is all about one. We're all one. But one of the things that this card is really reminding you is that you are limitless. Our mind tricks us. Our mind says, oh, you're not limitless. You have all these limitations. You're a human. You don't have a lot of money. You're stuck in a job. all these sort of things that kind of happen for you, right? And it's all your mind telling these stories. I get that. It's like your mind is creating a fortress and you're kind of stuck in it. But when you realize, wait a minute, no, the mind is limitless. The mind is foundationless. It's rootless. As this card says, it's sort of like you're actually open and available for everything, everywhere, all of the time, like the Akashic record one. So right now, I want you to start to notice the thoughts that you're thinking. Remember, you do not need to believe everything that you think. And our thoughts show up and they pretend to be important and they distract us and they keep us spiraling and they keep us small and they keep us in this loop, and it sucks sometimes. But when you remember, wait a minute, I don't need to believe everything that I think. Isn't that a concept? Wait a minute. What if instead of looking at all the ways this could go wrong, I start looking at all the ways this could go right? What if I start to notice my mind and how it takes me away from the present moment and wants to put me back in the past or put me in the future instead of being where I actually am right here, limitless, powerful being, right? When we go, okay, I hear you, girl or boy, I hear you talking. I'm just going to say, hey, can we just be quiet for a second? Because I want to feel into this moment. I don't want to think it. I want to feel into the oneness. I don't want to know it intellectually. I want to know it on a soul level. So the sum of this card, I did not expect to read these cards this long, by the way. I thought I would fit somebody else in. But anyway, we still got another reading coming up. There's going to be something for it in you. So stick with me. But to sum up this card, you are not restricted by your mind unless you allow it to restrict you. You are in a fortress that you have created yourself, and you can bust open the second you start to be aware of your thoughts. The second you start to be aware that you do not need to believe everything you think. Even if you just say to yourself, I don't need to believe everything I think. I'm not my mind. I'm not my mind. I'm not my mind. I do that a lot. I'm not my mind. I'm not my mind. I'm not my mind. It starts to create you as an observer, sets you apart as an observer. And then that's where you can really start to rock life. Okay, here we go. Number 3. Elsie says, I am healthier in my imagination than I am in my observation. That's a beautiful quote. And that's by Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, and Esther channels Abraham, who, by the way, is amazing. And, you must check them out. They're incredible. Yeah, I love that a lot. And your imagination is limitless. That's the cool thing. And when we observe life as we are, we go, well, this is the life. Like, this is life. This is how it is right now. Isn't that fact? Isn't that true? Well, yeah, kind of, but there's so many opportunities and possibilities if we just open ourselves up to the imagination. So thank you for that, Elsie. I love that. Miss you. Okay, number 3. And remember, if you already had card 1 or 2, I see you still hanging with me. I love it. I see you buying an expo ticket. I love it. Getting a reading from me tomorrow or Saturday. You got it. Okay, card number 3 is you are a pawn. So I'm talking about this deck being a little bit funny. You are a pawn. So this is talking about kind of looking at a different side here. It's talking about how at the moment you might not be realizing your power. You might not be stepping into your power. You might feel like you're kind of like a product of the system, or that you're kind of like trapped in a situation and you don't have a say. Sometimes people feel like that, and that's normal. We all sometimes feel like that. And then we remember, wait a minute, I actually am a creator here. I'm a soul having a human experience. I am not a pawn. I am the creator. I have created this situation and I can uncreate it as well. So if you chose number 3, maybe you're feeling a little bit powerless. Maybe you're feeling a little bit trapped in your mind, trapped in your situation. I want you to go back to what Elsie was just talking about and think with your imagination. I want you to start to imagine something different for yourself. So even if you're not able to physically get yourself out of wherever you are at the moment, I want you to start to focus on what you want. I want you to talk about what you want, not about how things are. We sometimes get caught up like that, right? Where we go, yeah, but I am stuck in my job. Well, no, you're not. You are choosing to go there every day. You could easily go left and go spend the whole day at the cinema and watching movies. You go to work because you take yourself there. So it's important to remember your ability to shift and change things, okay? And it starts by you coming back into your imagination, imagining that life can be different. It's also starting to notice when you're acting out of default, when you're kind of going through the motions without realizing, like I said, that you actually have a say. So maybe you take a personal day tomorrow. Maybe you're sick and you need to stay home and watch movies and have a bath and, eat chocolate cake all day. I don't know. But just remember that you are not a pawn. You might feel like sometimes you are, or that you're helpless, or that you can't, change, but you can. You can. And it starts the minute you decide to. Okay. So that's my reading for everybody. Rebecca said, oh gosh, yes, I am a pawn. No, you're not, Rebecca. You're not a pawn. You're not a pawn. And the minute you realize, wait a minute, I thought I was a pawn, but no, I'm not a pawn. I can step in and I can choose a different life. That's when life starts for you. That's when it starts to show up. Okay. We get what we think about most of the time. We want to watch our mindset. We want to start paying attention to the decisions that we're making. Are they taking us towards who we want to be or away from it? Who do we want to be? Can we imagine something different? And as you slowly and surely allow yourself permission to dream big, what's going to happen? You're going to start to attract that kind of life for you. And you know what, you guys, if you don't know what to do right now, if you're like, girl, I don't even know how to start with gratitude. Start with writing down the things you're grateful for. And one thing I learned recently is when you can talk about the things you're grateful for and love about yourself, that is a really powerful way to get started. So I want